Shalom, shalom. Glad to be back. Back so soon. I'm not going to take up too much of your guys' time with this video. I'm going to leave this link in the description. This is pretty much a timeline that I'm just working on, and it'll be ready by the time I post this video. But I just wanted to dig the final nail in the coffin for the people who say that, oh, these people, they're this, they're that, they're Spaniards, they're Asians, they're Mongoloids, they're everything but who they are. And I'm about to show you. I don't have definitive proof, obviously, but I was just digging through one of the old videos that I did, and I saw that Issachar married someone from the Joktan people, or the Joktan people. Now, upon looking into who possibly the Joktan or Joktan people are today, then it all made sense, right? Now, people wonder, well, how come these people are so light-skinned? You have brown-skinned Mexicans, you have Mexicans who are almost pale. That's just how they look. It's not because they're Spaniards, buddy. Look at all these children. They all look the same, right? They all have the same features. They just have different skin colors. Like we don't have different skin colors among us, among so-called black people, so-called North American Indians. Look, these are my grandparents on my mother's side. Neither one of these people, or I said these people like they're not my grandparents. Neither one of my grandparents has any immediate so-called white people in their family. In fact, my grandmother, her father is the same color as her husband, my grandfather. Why is she so light-skinned? Her mother wasn't even that light-skinned. Her mother was like my skin complexion, and she came out looking like this. You can't explain it, can you? Because that's just how it is, right? So, let's begin. So, let me go to Joktan. So, these are the sons of Joktan. He had a lot of sons, right? You see all of them here. Some of the, I guess, the notable names are Ophir, right? That's a place that Solomon went to for all the gold and stuff. Some people think that Ophir is located in Peru. And so did the Spaniards when they came here. They thought that they arrived at Ophir. But we're not going to really pay attention too much to that. This is Jobab, right? This is important, and you're about to see. So I want to make this clear as far as a visual. These are all the sons of Joktan, right? Okay. Remember, Ophir is here, and you have Jobab here. Remember those two, Ophir and Jobab. They both come from Joktan or Joktan. Now, let's see. Who did Issachar marry? So this is, I'm not only getting this from Wikipedia, don't worry. But according to the Midrashic Book of Jasher. I don't know why it's called the Midrashic Book of Jasher, but whatever. Issachar married Aridah, the younger daughter of Jobab, the son of Joktan. Right? Now, let's get a precept for that, because this is the Book of Jasher, and that is what it says. And Levi and Issachar went into the land of the east. What is the land of the east? What is the land of the east? Well, you're about to see, but it can only be one land, right? Or one area. People say, oh, Joktan, he was in, what do they say? Let me see if I could find that map real quick. Excuse me. Where does it say that he was, oh yeah, they say all 13 sons, or they were all in this small little area right here. Does that sound right to you? Sounds like BS. So all of Asia was all Japheth, right? It's foolishness. It's foolishness. So I think the land of the east is actually around Asia, right? Now, I was just talking to my brother about this, but we have to remember that the Canaanites didn't only steal Israel, they stole all the lands of Shem. And in my previous videos, I've said that the Chinese are the Sinites. But now it has occurred to me that they're much more than the Sinites, or even the Israelites, because there are Israelites there. No, they're Shemites there as well. They're a mixture of literally all three sons. You have the northern Chinese people who come from Japheth, you know, the people of the Caucasus Mountains. You have the Shemites, who I'm going to get into today, and you have the Canaanites or the Hamites or the Shenites or the Sinites, right? They're just an amalgamation of all three, right? You don't know who's who. That's kind of the point, but let's go to the next part. Now, this person brought up a pretty good point. So this person says, Joktan are Chinese. Pretty bold statement, right? Joktan are the pure Hebrews. Genesis 10:25 states that Heber had two sons, Peleg and Joktan. Genesis 10:30 says Joktan and family migrated to the Far East. They became the Chinese descendants. Peleg migrated to the Middle East and became the Israelite people. You know, of course, this person doesn't have, you know, full understanding, but, you know, he's on to something, right? That is where the term Oriental came from, the Middle East. God said Japheth will live in the tents of Shem. Excuse me. The modern majority of the people in the Middle East are an amalgamation of Japheth, Shem, and Ham, which is, I guess, is true. The Oriental Israelites were exiled from the Promised Land to this day. God promised to bring them back soon. Amen. I agree with that. By the looks of the map, you're on the right track. Now, the map he's talking about was this map. And this is what I was thinking about. Now, does it look exactly like this? Probably not, but I was just thinking, how does Shem only have this piece of land here? And they got all of these lands that are all like a blended mix of hot and cold. I was just thinking, wouldn't these lands, at least in the southern part, wouldn't these be Shemitic lands? Or Shemite lands? Why would Japheth have all of these lands? Or Ham would have all of this stuff? That doesn't make sense. And who has all of these islands over here? Do you know what I mean? These are Shemites, bro. Bro, when I was making those videos, or that video on the land of Sinim, I knew I was on the right track. The Most High has me on the right track, man. Wow. Let's go through this article real quick. I want to do this quickly because I don't want to make this a long video. In my article entitled Cuthites in Arabia, I gave an interpretation of the rebellion of the Tower of Babel according to Jacob Bryant's 6-volume work, A New System or an Analysis of Ancient Mythology. I have to check that out. Bryant believes that the rebellion was just a local event involving only a proportion of the inhabitants of the world. The participants of the rebellion were known as the Cuthites, primarily descended from Cush, the son of Ham, but there were other people who joined them. The leader of the rebellion was Nimrod, the son of Cush, and although I have expressed doubts about Bryant's suggestion that the Tower of Babel was just a local event, this does not affect his interpretation of the Cuthites. Why do you call them Cuth? That's just weird. As the main instigators of the rebellion. Let me try to skip. No, actually, let me just keep reading. Brian describes the Arabic people as Cuthites, as if they were primarily descended from Ham, although he does not deny altogether that at least some of them might be Shemitic. Indeed, it would be difficult to do so because it is widely acknowledged that their language is Shemitic. The Arabic people are most probably a mixture of Shem and Hamitic people. The so-called pure Arabs are claimed to be descended from Joktan, the son of Eber, who is of the line of Shem. They refer to other Arabs as Mustarabs, or pretended Arabs. The notion that the Arabs are descended from Ishmael, the son of Abraham, can be denounced altogether as a myth, intended to rob the Jews of their inheritance. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Although the Arabs are at least partly Shemitic, they have been descended from various biblical tribes. It is not possible to trace their origin with certainty. In particular, their descent from Joktan has to be questioned because there is no biblical evidence that Joktan went to Arabia. Okay? Instead, we are told he went to the east. And unto Eber was born 2 sons, and we read that already, right? As I have already described in my article on Cuthites in Arabia, the division during the days of Peleg was not necessarily the general dispersion of the nations from Babylon. There are a number of ways of interpreting this, and Bryant says that it was the division between Peleg and his brother Joktan, as they went their separate ways. Paul Plebes, in his Oriental Origins in the Bible, develops the theme further and says that when the family of Noah came out of the ark and their numbers began to multiply, they traveled east into Persia, but some of them turned back and went to Babylon. Peleg joined the company that turned back, while Joktan continued his journey to the east. The point of their departure was Mesha, which is probably Mashhad in northeast Iran. Joktan and his family continued toward Sifar, a mountain in the east, which must be in the mountains of China and Tibet. The descendants of Joktan are sometimes referred to as the Oriental Hebrews. Right? So this is a long article. I'm leaving all of these links in the description. Let's move on. Biblical roots of the Chinese people. The way Chinese compute the new year has biblical roots. Chinese people observe the first day of spring at the beginning of the month as New Year, as it is described in the Bible. This is the Chinese lunar year. China is one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Archaeologists have confirmed excavation of a large city in the suburb of Jingzhou, Henan province, that has relevance to the Dashingu cultural relics of the Xia dynasty. I'm not reading these words, bro. I just want to skip down to the important parts. In 2000, an international group of atheistic scientists researched on DNA at Shanghai University and concluded all humans have a common ancestor. They also thought that the Chinese people surely have the African ape as their ancestor and not the Beijing man. What is the difference? I'm not sure. But their argument is saying that they came here. Joktan's family migrated to China by possibly traveling on the Silk Road used by ancient merchants from Persia to China. So a bunch of people think that, the Chinese or the Orientals, they have some sort of connection to the Joktans or the Joktan people. And remember, Shem a lot of nations came out of Shem. Like, people don't really know who the Shemites are because they're really all just mixed up together. No one really knows who's who at this point. But now we move on to the possible other landing spots that he could have went to, because the mainstream thing is Joktan is in the Middle East. But now you have all these theories saying, well, no, Joktan is in the Oriental regions. Well, now you're going to hear a different theory. Okay? So listen to this. The posterity of Shem, supposed to be the earliest inhabitants of America. Now, Shem The second son of Noah had 5 sons who inhabited the land that began at the Euphrates and reached to the Indian Ocean, and their names were Elam, Ashur, Aphaxad, Lud, and Arian. Salah, the son of Aphaxad, was the father of Eber, whose elder son was called Joktan. This Joktan was the father of the 13 sons who were heads of as many nations. With regard to the countries which they possessed, very little can be said with any certainty, but most of the ancients were of opinion that the East Indies, China, and Japan must have been peopled by the descendants of Shem through Joktan, his great-great-grandson. So what have I been digging on when it came to India, China, and Japan, right? I've been saying that there's some sort of Shemitic connection there. There's some deep-rooted Shemitic connection. There it is, right? Like, it's crazy. Most High has me on a journey, man. As the North and South American Indians are reasonably believed to be of different origin, reasonably believed. Now, listen to the snake talk. Oh, of course, here's the cop cars, good old New York cop cars. Inasmuch as the natives of the South were found to be not only more civilized than the rude tribes of the North. So I found that funny because the Indians of the South, you know, they're not as physically imposing as the North American Indians or the so-called Negro Indians. The Negro Indians were rude and they were not going down without a fight, right? The Indians of the South, they probably had like a much more like civilized and cleaner society, you know, as they say, and they could have, right? And I'm not really wedging that much of a difference because you had black people or Negroes, quote unquote, in Peru, in Mexico, right? And you had the more Oriental Hebrews in North America too, right? You know, it wasn't just one thing, right? But for the most part, the North American Indians, you know, they were not as willing to accept foreigners as much as these other brothers in the South America and Central America. But let's continue. But when discovered by the Europeans, but first their personal appearance, religion, and language exhibited so strikingly a diversity which should at once authorize this belief, many have supposed that the Yucatan, a province of Mexico, derives its name from Joktan. Now, this is the snake talk. This is the snake. Listen to what this person just said. They just said, well, you know, it's so strikingly understandable why the Europeans thought that these people were descendants of the Yoktans, right? I'm going to bring that up again. But there's a reason why they thought this. They said what? Their personal appearance, right? Meaning they must have looked like the Yoktans. So they knew who the Yoktans were at that time. Pick out the things. Pick out the truth from the lies, right? Don't suck up everything. Pick out the truth from the lies, right? Now this person, Arvius Montanus, is the foremost, and he thinks that Joktan himself either passed into America or that this continent was peopled by his posterity. Now, we have all these people who think, right? Well, I think I know who the Yucatans and the Mexicans, who they come from, right? I think I know. You're about to see another person who thinks they know, right? Now listen to this. This is a so-called Jew. This is the same person who did that, I guess, that piece on Line of Sinum. And he's about to tell us, you know, who these people are, right? Wait, is this the same one? Let me start here. Actually, no. The descendants of Peleg stayed in Eurasia / Africa, while the descendants of Joktan eventually went to the Americas. I heard this in the name of Reverend Matanyahu. Matsiyahu. I don't know how to say his name. So he heard that from someone who said that the Yoktans went to the Americas. Now, who did he hear that from? I don't know. Maybe it's the same people who said that, oh, they look like the Yoktans, right? But listen to the snake talk, right? Just remember that they said they look like the Yoktans, whoever they are, right? I just read to you that the original descendants of Asia or the Oriental countries were of Yoktan, were Shemites, right? I read to you that Issachar married someone from Yoktan. Okay? I hope you guys are connecting this. Now, now he talks about how there might be, there are multiple rivers. Like this is the Chavila, the son of Cush. The reference would be to the Nile River being the river Pison. But if it is the Chavila in the New World, then Pison might be the Mississippi. So this person understands that America looks very similar to the land of Shem, right? Or the lands of Shem. Because this place was created to be a new home, right? And I don't believe that this is necessarily where all of the events of the Bible happened. I don't believe that this is the place where everyone started off in. I just don't. But, I do believe that people came over here, at a very, very early period. People kept coming over here, kept getting swept off, But this is what this person also says. So while Ophir stayed and built his civilization around the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, there's another person. Oh, you're from Ophir, right? Now, I do believe that Ophir was here, but Ophir just means gold, right? That's what Ophir was really in reference to. It doesn't necessarily have to be the people of Ophir or the land of Ophir. So Solomon went to Ophir every 3 years to loot them. Does that make any sense? No. Now you have these people who say that the Khatani or the Khaitans are the same thing as the Yoktans, right? And they say, well, these people are Arabs, right? This is what I mean. People lie, right? If they don't know, they lied. If they lie, they don't know. And if they do know, they lie. People just lie. So we have to pick the meat out of the bones. They said that the Mexicans or the indigenous South Americans looked like the Yoktans, right? Now I'm about to read to you, or I'm about to show you. This is where Yucatan is, by the way. Right? It's here. It's such a random place. Like, if someone is coming from the Pacifics, right? If they're coming from over here, why would they go all the way like here? Do you know how much work that is to get over here? It's just stupid, right? And you're about to see where the word Yucatan even comes from. Now, I don't believe any of these three definitions or explanations that they're going to give me. But they make more sense than just you saying, well, Yucatan sounds like Yoktan. Did they even call that place Yucatan? You're about to see that they didn't name that place Yucatan. The Spaniards gave them that name. Now, according to one of them, it came from the answer of an indigenous Mayan to the question of a Spanish explorer who wanted to know the name of the region. The Mayan probably replied, Ma'anatikatan, which means in the Mayan language, I do not understand your speech, nor do I understand you. It's like a joke, right? So what? So the Spaniards transliterated "I don't know, I don't understand you" into Yucatan. Silly. But here's the second explanation. It is also said that the Spaniards gave the name of Yucatan to the region because the Mayans answered their questions with the phrase Yucatian, which in the Mayan language means hear how they talk. So these are a bunch of, silly theories. This other person, Castillo, he says that Yucata means land of Yucas, a plant that was cultivated by the Maya and was an important food source for them. Land of Yucas, right? I don't know, right? I have no idea. But everyone seems to have an answer for who these people are, right? Now, who do these people look like? Who do these brothers and sisters look like? Kind of look Asian, right? Kind of look Oriental, right? So if they came and said, well, nah, you guys look like the Yoktans, right? What are they saying? Now, they also admit that they gave the name Yucatan. They gave that country the name. How can you say, well, Yucatan sounds like Yoktan when they're the ones who gave them the name? Now you're about to see, because when they first got here, they thought that these people were, were from Yoktan. They assumed that based on how they looked. I'll say it right here. Now I don't have this book, so I'm relying on the IUIC. I've done this in a video before, but let's read this. The only other writer this author found who accepted the Issachar variation of the 10 lost tribes theory was Balthasar de Medina in his Crónica de la Santa Provincia de San Diego de Mexico of 1682. Although Medina thought the South Americans and Yucatecans, see, it wasn't even called Yucatan before, it was called Yucatecan. They just keep changing it. That's even further away from Yoktan. Yucatecan, that sounds nothing like Yoktan at that point. It just has you and can. Yeah, But he thought they were descendants of the Gentile Iktan, father of Ophir. So who's from Ophir? Yoktan. So they thought that they were from Yoktan. They didn't think they were Israelites. They didn't think they were from Peleg going down to Abraham. No, they thought they were from Yoktan because of how they looked. But why they look like that? Because Issachar married one of the women. And they also were in those lands. Why? Because they probably resemble those people. So it was easier for them to hide there. Right? How is a bunch of black people going to go into the land of Sinim? That would make sense, right? Come on now. Now let's read the rest of this. The Mexicans are originally the 10 tribes captured by Salmanazar and the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognize as their special ancestors. So they told them. They were like, oh, are you sure you guys are not from Ophir? Are you sure you guys are not Yoktans or Joktans? And they're like, no, we're not. We're from Issachar. So let the Spaniards tell them who you are, right? Well, the Spanish said that they were from Yoktan. The Spanish said they were Gentiles. The Spanish said they weren't Israelites. When the Indians telling, no, we are Israelites. What are you talking about? No, you're not. You're Asians. No, you're not. You're Orientals. Simple. Now I'm going to play this and I'm going to end the video.
That's what we're dealing with. That's what the 12 tribes.
It's YouTube Music.
Download
the app today and get.
Without further ado, let's commence. As you can see, Issachar, but this is going to be dealing with Issachar and Zebulun. All right.
I'm only going to play like the first 2 minutes. You guys check out this video.
First slide. Mexica. Now, the country Mexico, the word Mexico is Hebrew. It's a bastardization of the original tongue of the Nahuatl, or Nahuatl. Mexica. All right. Mexica, spoken tongue, you can see right there the source. The words of Jesus in the original Aramaic is detailed biblical and historical account of the original message preached by who? Yeshua Mexica. Because Mexica means anointed. like Mashiach, Meshika, and the Aramaic means anointed. And that's what the land of Mexico was called, Meshika. Okay,
Now, don't there's brothers who say, oh, Mexico comes from Moshi, which is Moses, because these dudes are a bunch of antichrists, you know. But it is what it is.
that's what the people politically thereof were called. And that source is the words of Jesus in the original Aramaic by S. Mystic. Second source, Europe and to the European peoples. Mexican and Chicano, on the other hand, are American terms referring to the ancient Nawa Aztec people. Mexica, pronounced what? Mexica, which means anointed in the Aramaic. It's a Hebrew word.
Yeah, Mexica sounds
That's
like
a
Mexica.
Hebraic affinity right there. Native American in 20th Century by Mary B. Davis. I provide sources for y'all, so the viewer at home can fact check. Next slide. Aztec. The word Aztec comes from the Hebrew Az. H227 is where you can locate that in the Strong's. H stands for Hebrew, and it's
I'm
referring
going
to
to
time
skip
and
ahead a little
disposition.
bit because, you know, this
The
is
Ha.
obvious. You should know that, and you could
Then we
check out
got
the
the
video.
Ha, right? Which is the Mayan calendar. It says there has been a great deal of speculation about the origins and basis of the 260-day cycle. Some scholars believe it's based on some astronomical cycle or on a human gestation cycle, but it's also possible that it's simply the result of using important numbers 13. There are 13 levels in the heavens, and 20 Mesoamericans all use regisimal or base 20 count system. The earliest known representation of this cycle comes from the Zapotec site of San Jose Mogote in Valley of Oaxaca at around 500 BC. Now, that's important because around 500 BC, that's what we date when the Israelites started, migrating over here in great numbers.
So you guys can check out this video. This guy, his forefather, like, he sounds like a black dude, but his forefathers are Mexican himself, so he knows a lot about this stuff, right? Very good channel. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. That's about it. Hopefully I'll finish this, this little slide show or whatever, and I'll try to input all this information in this slide, just to give it, make it clean and organized for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. Just another nail in the coffin. Keep thinking that everyone was just black. Well, you're not pissing me off. You're not pissing your brothers off anymore. You're just pissing the Most High off. Remember that. Shalom.